Well, on your screens now, you can see this image wherein an attacker opened fire near the White House in Washington, D.C., the capital of the United States. 2 National Guard soldiers were killed in this firing. Police and security agencies have arrested the attacker. The attacker has been identified as Afghan national Rahmanullah Lakmal. Let's take a deep dive into the specifics of the story and the suspect. Hello and welcome to another episode of Deep Dive brought to you by NewsX. My name is Vineet. Let's now look at what exactly happened a few blocks away from the White House at 2:15 p.m. at the Farragut Square metro station. On the 26th of November 2025, 2 West Virginia National Guard soldiers were shot during what officials described as a targeted ambush. A lone gunman reportedly walked up to the 2 West Virginia National Guard soldiers who were on patrol and opened fire on them. He managed to shoot the 2 National Guard soldiers. Other National Guard members nearby heard the gunshots and immediately neutralized and subdued the shooter. The Department of Homeland Security has identified the subject as Rahmanullah Lakmal, an Afghan national who entered the United States under the 2021 Operation Allies Welcome Resettlement Program. He was wounded in the incident and taken into custody. Federal investigators have not publicly established a motive. The attack prompted immediate security responses in the capital and political calls to review Afghan admissions and vetting procedures. The 2 soldiers suffered critical injuries and were rushed to nearby hospitals. A witness said he heard 2 shots, then 3 more, as people sprinted for cover, some hiding in a nearby liquor store. Footage from another bystander showed 2 soldiers lying on the road, their uniforms soaked, medics fighting to save them, and the gunman also wounded, lying just a few feet away. A bus stop was shattered by bullets, its glass spread across the pavement. The intersection was filled with police cars, armed personnel, and guard troops sealing off the area for hours now. A 3rd injured person found on the ground was identified as the gunman. The precise weapon used remains unconfirmed and no motive has been identified yet. The suspected shooter, who critically wounded 2 National Guard soldiers, his last known residence was in Bellingham, Washington State. Authorities say that he is a former Afghan National Army soldier who served alongside U.S. forces. He entered the United States in 2021 under the Biden administration's Operation Allies Welcome. Lakhanwal applied for asylum in December 2024 and was granted approval from ICE on April 23rd, 2025. Records also show that Lakhanwal has no prior criminal record in the United States of America. The Department of Homeland Security has called him a criminal alien from Afghanistan. His immigration status remains unclear. Tens of thousands of Afghans entered the United States after the 2021 withdrawal. And following the shooting, U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services announced it is halting all Afghan immigration processing pending a vetting review. And according to sources, the suspect is not cooperating with authorities. The Vice President, J.D. Vance, has made a statement on his attack and said that it is a somber reminder that soldiers, whether they are on active duty, reserve or National Guard, soldiers are the sword and shield of the United States of America. He thanked all the soldiers for their work and prayed for the recovery and for them to spend Thanksgiving with their families. Other than this, an eyewitness has also made a statement on the attack and stated that they heard gunshots and ran, and post the incident, he saw another guard apart from the 2 that were shot crying, and he felt bad for them. Let's listen in.
So I walked up and I saw they had a person pinned on the ground yelling at him to stay down, and there was broken glass in the bus stop, and then they moved, like it was some sort of construction vehicle or something along those lines, and they moved the vehicle, and that's when we saw 2 National Guards on the ground, and 1 they were trying to resuscitate. And then at that point, it was still even a couple of minutes before there was any response. Like they didn't have anything closed off, and it was kind of surreal, to be honest with you. And it took us a couple of minutes to realize.
Well, President Trump has also talked about the attack. Let's listen into what he had to say.
Earlier today, on the eve of the Thanksgiving holiday, Two members of the National Guard serving in Washington, D.C., were shot at point blank range in a monstrous ambush style attack just steps away from the White House. They had been deputized as part of the most successful public safety and national security mission in the history of our nation's capital, the D.C. Safe and Beautiful Task Force, which has achieved an unprecedented reduction in violent crime and crimes of all type. This heinous assault was an act of evil, an act of hatred, and an act of terror. It was a crime against our entire nation. It was a crime against humanity.
All right, Trump announced that every individual from Afghanistan will now be reinvestigated and steps will be taken to remove all foreign nationals who are not beneficial to America or cannot love our country. He said America will never bow to terror. Meanwhile, following the incident, the Trump administration in America has indefinitely halted all immigration processes related to Afghan citizens. The US CIS stated that security and vetting protocols will be reviewed again. Their focus is on the safety of America and the American people. Washington Police Executive Assistant Chief Jeffrey Carroll said that the motive behind the attack is not yet known. Interrogation of the accused has started. He stated that the attacker came from a corner and according to video footage, he started firing as soon as he saw the soldiers. Trump has also stated that the suspect entered the United States in September 2021, vowing that the gunman would pay the steepest possible price. He also called the shooting an act of evil, an act of hatred, and an act of terror. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth announced that Trump ordered 500 additional National Guard troops to Washington, D.C. Nearly 2,200 guardsmen are already in the capital. That were deployed in August amid claims of out-of-control crime. These guard troops are not police. They cannot arrest or enforce laws, only support security operations. The attack even triggered a brief ground stop at Ronald Reagan Airport, a rare step halting flights on the eve of Thanksgiving. All right, let's talk about this and what does this mean? Andrew Latham, Professor of International Relations, is joining us at this point in time. Andrew, appreciate you being here. Well, first of all, how do you see this attack? Of course, it's too early to comment why this person did what he did. But, on the periphery, it seems that this is a terror attack. And if it is proven so, it could also mean, trouble for all those people who came in from Afghanistan in 2021, perhaps who did not have, terror in their minds.
Yes, well, there's a certain irony, of course. The National Guard troops deployed in order to enhance security and safety. And in fact, were targeted. We don't know the motive, which is the second point, which is an important point. This may have been PTSD, it may have been politically motivated, it may have been anything in between or something totally different. We just don't know yet. It's under investigation. And the third striking point here is that this administration wasted no time in tarring every Afghan national who'd been relocated, including people who had fought beside American forces, tarring them with the same brush, halting the processing of their immigration and asylum proceedings, and making threats to expel untold numbers of them on the basis of one person who committed two heinous crimes. Overreaction, I think. Vetting procedures need to be reviewed, I think. But let's wait and see what the results of that review are before threatening to deport untold numbers of allies.
What do you make of a lot of people, jumping on social media and quickly classifying this as a terror attack? Is that something dangerous to do? Because it can disturb the social fabric of the United States.
Yes, when you push that button in the US post 9/11, it triggers all kinds of reactions, both in the political sphere but also in the public consciousness. We don't know. It remains to be seen. If I were a betting man, I probably would bet a little bit of money that it was politically motivated and therefore by definition an act of terror. But I'm also a cautious person, and my view is let's just wait and see. We have this suspect under arrest. He's being interrogated. His motives, his state of mind, will become relatively clear relatively quickly. This is not 9/11. There has not been now other attacks across the country. This is a lone gunman um, perpetrating acts of violence for who knows what reason at this point. Do not turn this into 9/11 2.0.
Andrew, appreciate you joining us. Thank you so much. All right, on that note, we are dipping into a short break. Be right back.